up there in it. Welcome
Sorry about that.
everyone to our quarterly meeting. Good. I have a minute first. I mean, it's not gender first.
I was informed that it was. Carol, can you confirm for Julie?
I'm sorry, what was that, Dawn?
That the agenda was posted?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Dawn, can you take a roll?
Yes. Julie Weissman Steinbach.
Yeah.
I know Sabra McWhorter Clark is excused absent today. Margaret Marcucci.
Present.
Linda Voivoda.
Present.
Dee Dee Poormaster.
Present.
Thank you. Lisa Bonney. Sheena Childers.
Present.
Lori Lutu, actually, she did inform me she was possibly going to be late today, but she would be here tomorrow for sure. That's it. And we do have quorum.
Okay, great. Yeah. Public comment. So, could you read them? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
So no action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment, period, unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707401. Comments will be allowed at the beginning and end of each day and will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
Is there any public? You didn't see any hands.
I do not see any hands raised, Julie.
Neither. Okay. Is any, Julie, sorry. Does anyone have any corrections to the minutes from our July meeting?
This is Margaret Marcucci for the record. When I looked at the minutes on day one, most of the members present were missing. I don't know if it was me or if that's how it came out.
Now that you mention that, Margaret, I do see that Julie's name is not on there.
I was reading it and I'm like, wait a minute, my name isn't there. And
Oh, yeah.
and I'm like, okay, did something weird happen or what?
I didn't even see that. Thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome, Julie.
I definitely was there.
It kind of looks like they got cut off or something in an error. I'm sure they were added and it looks like they were added and then they disappeared somehow. It was probably just a glitch. I'm sure Carol can update that with my help after the meeting. Thank you.
Any other corrections? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
I motion to accept the minutes and fix the problem that we're having with the names of the people who attended.
Do I hear a second? Does anyone want to second it?
Is there a voting member who would like to second the motion?
This is Margaret Marcucci for the record. I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody paying attention out there? Where are the SILC members?
I'm here. Sorry, I just had to come back in. So nobody second the meetings minutes?
We're voting.
I did. This is Margaret Marcucci. I second it.
Okay, I ended up leaving you guys for a second. So my computer's going in and out. So if I leave, I'll come right back, but I don't know what's going on with it.
Fun.
I apologize ahead.
So
Fun since we're not getting I think we should do what do you call it? Call the names.
I think we can just restate the motion
Yeah.
and get Linda's vote on the matter.
Okay.
I said we were gonna okay the minutes with the exception of the names of the participants being re-added, which got cut off somehow. And Margaret opened it, and now we're voting on whether or not it's gonna go through.
Okay. So you motioned for it, and then for the first motion, now we need a second motion.
Margaret
Margaret?
seconded the motion, and we were in the process of voting aye or nay on the acceptance of that motion.
Okay, aye.
Okay. Thank you. Then motion passes. Are there any guests who are interested in joining? I would like to introduce themselves. Do you see any?
I don't see any hands, but I do see there is someone here who I don't recognize, and I'm not sure if they're interested in introducing themselves or letting us know who they are. I believe the name on the participant says Chun Chow.
Audio now unmute alert. Meeting tools window.
Hello, I am Chen Chao. I was kind of referred to this meeting by a friend of mine who happens to also be a fellow chapter member of the Northern Nevada chapter of the National Federation of the Blind. So I'm just kind of attending for informational purposes and nothing else.
Thank you for being here, Chen. It's nice to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If any members know people who might be interested in self-membership, please refer them to the door. We really do need some more members.
Julie, this is Dawn Lyons. I wanted to mention that Cindy Swanson, who has previously attended Silk meetings in the past, has expressed her interest, and it may be that she just couldn't make it today, so she may be coming tomorrow to introduce herself.
Glad you said that, yes. Okay. Shall we go on?
Sure.
The Youth Action Committee has been really active, and I'd like to invite them to give their request. I would do a report. I saw her.
Yeah, I believe she's here.
I am.
I'm here. I wasn't sure you were talking to me. Thank you, Julie. This is Haiyan Vang. So currently we are not going to give an yak update until tomorrow when some of the members volunteered to give the yak update because due to their availability.
Okay.
I do wanna, this is Dee Dee Formaster for the record. I do want to say how impressed I was in the wonderful presentations that they did at the April conference. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents in because they really deserve to be recognized for all the hard work they put in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
What? I'm looking forward to that report tomorrow. Okay. Let's move on to our independent living centers. Mary, would you like to start?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. And I can certainly relate about that bug that's being passed around. It's the same down here. But anyway, it's good to see everyone, especially during these, shall we say, unstable times. Okay, for the record, my name is Mary Eagle-Sizer. I am the executive director for the Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living, and we provide services in Clark County, Nevada. And I do want to say this has been such a busy quarter. Our intakes increased by 57% this quarter alone. Please don't be impressed. It's housing. Again, the The majority of the intakes that we're doing are looking for housing services. And we saw that reflected in the number of service requests that we received. While our intake went up by 57%, our service requests went down by 14.2%, which means that they're asking, or the individuals that we're working with disabilities are asking for housing. And again, as we've been talking the past few quarters, they want to know about housing, and they don't, they're not open to listening unless you have housing immediately. So we had a lot more that didn't go through our intake process because of that. But the ones that we're working with, we're happy to work with. We continue to tell them, let's get on the list, let's try. The list is going to be here now, 2 years from now, and 3 years from now. I would also like to add that we believe that that 57% increase is because we do have some funding from the SILC, and we were able to hire an additional housing specialist part-time. So in having that person there, that really helped us to increase our outreach. And then this time we were able to complete a total of 62 outreach events, which is a high number. We've been partnering with a lot of the agencies that work with homeless. We've established with Help USA, that's an agency that works with low income and homeless. Itinerant office hours there, that's where we meet the individual with a disability at their location each week to help them with the services they've requested. And for those individuals, they are asking for services that we can also provide. That would be assistance applying for Social Security, assistance applying for health insurance, assistance applying for food benefits, so and transportation. That gives you an idea of our numbers for this quarter. And again, it's just been very busy, very exciting for the individuals that we are able to reach and to engage in our services. With that, I would like to make an announcement that some of you may or may not have heard, but we're very excited that from November 17th through December 15th, the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority has opened up the application list, and the programs that they've opened up the list for accommodate all of the age ranges that we're working with. They have some units for age 55 and older. They have some units for the mainstream voucher. So we're encouraging right now all of the individuals that we have on various housing waiting lists to please jump on this train when it opens. Right now in Clark County, there's a waiting list of 22,000 throughout the various housing programs. So this is a golden opportunity that comes around once in a while. With that, I would like to share with the council that this last quarter, we did 7 diversions. Now, a diversion is when you work with an individual with a disability that is at risk for becoming institutionalized. A lot of times that would mean that they would go to a nursing home. And so with those diversions, 3 of those we were able to assist with rental assistance to stabilize their lives by finding resources for rent for them. And then 2 individuals were actually transitioned from an institution to the community. And I think I touched briefly on that last time. We were working, one that we finished up was from an institutional transition, which was prison back to the community. And then another one was an individual that was living in a more restricted facility, an assisted living facility, to move into an independent apartment. And that is a transition, total freedom. That individual, we did give that individual the one of our awards that we give out each year for our consumers, and that's uh, an accomplishment in achieving the highest degree of self-advocacy. This individual had a relative, and together they came up with the rental deposit, they found the unit, they did the applications, they were almost there. What they didn't have were the funds to have movers go to her storage unit to help her to transition or to move all of her new housing setup materials that she had in her storage unit to her new apartment. So they reached out to us and we were able to, just that one little piece, complete the transition. So we say it takes a village. We were part of that village and we are so excited for that individual. Then we had another individual that we honored this year as well. We helped this individual to transition 5 years ago from a nursing home into the community. And this individual, he was also a high ranking self advocate. He had done everything for himself. And of course, we worked with Money Follows the Person. Again, we take our village in for these nursing home transitions. But what no one could help him with, and we did help him with a lot of other things, but his biggest joy was that we were able to buy him a tablet. He was having challenges in transitioning his Medicaid benefits from institutional benefits into community benefits. And that can be a problem for a lot of people. And it is a target that you have to focus on and not let it go. And he said, if you can get me a tablet, I will take care of that while your agency works on things like I need the bathtub bench, the, whatever he needed, the hospital bed. So anyway, after 5 years, his tablet was no longer working. And he reached out to us and he said, I'm doing great. I'm doing well out in the community, but my tablet no longer works because it's no longer to be able to be upgraded. So we were in a position that we could get him a new tablet, and we wish him another 5 years of living out in the community. So for us, that's really exciting, not only to see the transition, but also to see the sustainability of the transition. So those were award winners for this year. Also want to report that we had Disability Awareness Day. And Don, my apologies again for the mix up with the numbers on your table. So we're so glad you could come though. That was exciting. This year we had an increase of about 15% of how many participants attended Disability Awareness Day. And we did decrease, by 2 or 3% from the vendors that could attend, but we understood that a lot of those were agencies that were undergoing the residuals from the federal shutdown. They just weren't there. So, but they will be there next year. So overall, it was a good day. I still want to thank everybody for coming out. I talked to Desert Regional Center. They were there that day and they reported that they had 140 new intake possibilities just from coming out that day. And a lot of the other vendors that came out were saying the same thing. We had a good turnout from families. We had a good turnout from youth that are school to work youth transition participants, as well as the services. We had the Clark County School District school to work coordinators there. Voc Rehab was there. So everything, again, it's the village, the participants, and everybody working together. All in all, there were about 300, I would say over 300 participants that attended, only because we're busy registering them to come in, and other people find a way to get in the side door or get in the other door. And that's okay. Well, we do like to keep account. Can't always keep all your numbers. So with that, I'd also like to report that some of our staff did go to the April conference, and we're very proud of them. They were selected to give a presentation on our emergency preparedness website that we've developed, not only for Clark County. That was a project that we partnered with our sister center, the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living. And so we developed a statewide website that anyone can use. If you go to our website or our sister center's website, and then you click on your county, then you can see the resources that are available to each of you in your individual counties. So we were proud of that, of being chosen. Even though we were an alternate, there is a tremendous amount of interest in emergency preparedness. And as we can see right now, sometimes emergency preparedness has to be man-made and what is happening, not through nature, but it's something else that we need to be prepared for and contend with. With that, I'd like to announce that we continue to work with the Disability Innovation Fund with the TRIP program. That is the School to Work Transition program that we partner with. SILC is one of our partners in that, Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation, the Nevada Department of Education that took the lead for us. And at this point in that development, we continue as Centers for Independent Living to build content for the website. And then at this point, we are also working all together as a whole in developing content for training educators, which I think is really going to be exciting. And Voc Rehab is doing amazing. And I'm sure that they'll give their report next. So I'm not going to say much more about that. With that, I'd like to go ahead and wrap up and say that this was a very stressful quarter with all of the roller coaster rides that we took. You're on, you're not on, you're up, you're down. Benefits are there, they're not there. For the Centers for Independent Living, we got very fortunate. The Administration for Community Living under the Department of Health and Human Services, they did the Thursday before all of this started, they called a meeting and they said, please continue doing what you're doing. We'll let you know about your funding as soon as we know, but don't stop. So we did. And it's fortunate and unfortunate. We did get our funding, but our hearts go out to those that are continuing to struggle and continuing to wait to see how the funding is going to go. We know that a lot of programs that we need as resources in our community are struggling with that as well as we speak. So all in all, that's my report. I know it's a lot of information to give all at one time, but please feel free to ask any questions. So that concludes my report today. Thank you for listening.
You ready? Are there any questions from there?
This is Dawn Lyons. I don't have any questions, but I wanted to say how constantly busy the Disability Awareness Day was, and that was very satisfying to see so many people who were reaching out in the community and looking for ways to self-advocate and that I believe it was another successful year at Disability Awareness Day despite our challenges with the federal government. So thank you, Mary. And
thank you, Dawn.
and I wanted to say, Sheena, I noticed you added something in the chat. Did you want to tell us, or would you rather I just read what you put? Because you're welcome to join in.
Hi, everyone. This is Sheena Childers for the record. Yeah, I can read my note in the chat. I was just going to say to Mary's comment, VR definitely saw an immediate increase in our Southern applications the following week after Disability Awareness Day as well. And we always love attending that event. And that's all my staff told me also, is that it was the busiest it has been in years. And so we thank you for the invitation, and we're so happy to be able to participate.
Sheena, thank you. And we are just excited that Voc Rehab is there. We get so many requests for your services, and it's just a delight to say, go to that table over there and they'll take care of you. And then your staff, I mean, they are so excited and they have so much energy. We really enjoy having them there. So they're well seasoned and they know what to expect. So thank you guys. And again, it's all of us working together and guiding our community towards, self advocacy, towards, setting and meeting goals. So thank you all. We really appreciate it. And you're welcome. It's nice to be recognized. Thank you.
This is Dawn Lyons. One more thing is when we did figure out where my table was going to be, it was right between Voc Rehab and the Department of Education. So I saw how busy everyone else was too. And it was kind of nice to be able to just say hi and see.
Happy ending. I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you.
Is there anybody here from the Nevada Center?
I didn't see anyone join from the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living. But I do want to mention that both Randall Owen and Lori Lutu have joined us during that update.
Welcome. We can come back to them tomorrow. It's somebody shows. Are you feeling well enough to get a report?
Yeah, I'm a little brain dead, but this is Dee Master for the record. This last quarter has been extremely busy in the northern Nevada area with Carson, Lyon, Douglas, and Story. We have had done a lot of intakes. We have been working with the Transportation Board on the 25-year plan. So I attended a 25-year planning meeting where a lady came in who is a national transportation specialist. And when we all went around the room to introduce ourselves, she stood up, walked over to me, and pointed at me and said, "Everyone in this room is from a state or city organization. And what we need is people like this lady who is telling us what is in our community. And there is not enough participation from the community sector to be able to formulate a 25-year plan." So during the training, it was extremely interesting about the different divisions of the state and city that added information. But what was really great is that we're going to try to get a group of people together that can give some insights into the bus transportation system in Carson, what people would like to see in the Lyon County areas. So, and they're doing a lot of sessions in the outlying areas to be able so that people can participate. So I'm beating my drum and encouraging people to get out there and participate in a 25-year plan. And also Carson City formulated a plan for the homeless and low income, which I participated in. And it was basically coming up with ideas and information. And so I participated in that. They are finally doing something about the homeless and low income housing issues in Carson City and looking at all of the alternatives instead of doing their usual, if we prepare, they will come attitude. And so I think we're getting past that finally. It's taken a while. Housing, on the other hand, is still not great in Carson City. There's a lot of people on the streets. They are comparing Nevada's rents to, yes, Florida is number one in the nation for expensive rates, and Nevada is number two. And so, what can I say? The rates are so high that it's unbelievable, and people cannot afford to pay them, especially if it is someone who is on disability or Social Security or elderly. They did open a little tiny window for about 30 days where people 55 and older could apply for housing with Southgate Apartments, but it did not last long. And I encouraged everyone to apply, of course. So there's lots of housing being built, but most of it is unfortunately upper echelon housing that people cannot afford, or it is workforce housing where you have to be making 35,000 and above to even be able to get in the door. So, and speaking about housing, my next issue that is starting to emerge that is absolutely and totally horrible is linked to the justice system. So now landlords are starting to steal people's deposits and finding a way to rip the disabled community off by asking for deposits, saying that this apartment is not going to be around long, so you have to put down a deposit. And then when you put down the deposit, they end up ripping you off. So this is getting pretty common here. I have to say that I'm very alarmed and brought it to the attention of the Nevada Legal Services. So hopefully they'll start moving in the direction of trying to help consumers a little more in that area instead of shutting the door in their face, which is caused from the total and complete overwhelming amount of referrals that these low-income attorneys are getting. And as you know, a lot of our disabled communities, especially people with developmental disabilities, have a terrifically hard time trying to advocate for themselves in court. So those are kind of the trends that I have seen here in our area. And I'm sure that Margaret will let you know what's going on in Elko. Go ahead, Margaret.
Okay, the same thing. We have landlords, we have Other companies that are ripping off our seniors are disabled. Nevada Legal Services here is very much aware of it. Right now, I have one lady I am working with, one of the clients, and she did a $500 deposit and she's not getting it back. And Nevada Legal Services, when we talked to them the other day, was getting involved and very badly involved. And what the saddest thing is all our low income apartments are being sold to different um, it's not more or less companies, but private people that are buying them. So we're all more or less kind of on pins and needles around here to see what's going to happen. So far, it's been working out really, really, really good, and they've left everybody alone. One particular apartment complex has found out that a lot of our people were having problems. They've actually stepped up to the plate, and one of the apartment complexes for some seniors that were disabled, they matched their rate that they were paying at another apartment. And that was thrilling because you could watch the relief and the happiness in the face. And I see it every couple of days. I go and check up on them to make sure they're okay. My biggest fun thing is I've been learning about Nevada Medicaid in Elko, Nevada and the rural counties. I have gone to 4 trainings. That's been quite interesting. I get phone calls constantly because of, what's going on and the different companies and what they want and how they're going to do it. Talking to doctors' offices to find out who's not going to do it, who's going to do it. Just before Dee Dee and I were talking, I had one of the clients call in tears. She didn't know whether her counselor was going to be on the list or not. And I said, we just need to take a chill pill for right now. I the first of the year or here, the 16th of December, we'll find out a little bit more. I have 4 more trainings to do on from both companies, if that tells you anything. But I do have to tell you that I have been very active with a project that is near and dear to my heart. Dee Dee knows about it. It's called the Moses Project, and a lot of my families that have disabled children or they are disabled, it's more or less for foster parents and things like that. But a lot of our clients have taken in a lot of disabled children. And even my people that are not part of the Moses Project are going to have a turkey dinner. We have turkey for kids. Sorry. We have raised $3,000 to be able to buy food. And my garage looks like a warehouse. And I have a 4-car garage, and I can only park 2 cars in the garage. But we've had more fun with that. I've been working with communities and schools again, trying to find our families disabled and stuff like that. The ladies at the welfare agency have been fabulous, working with all of us, trying to get everybody with either needing food, needing clothing. I worked with the VFW this weekend. We had a Christmas extravaganza where Walmart gave them, I'm a part of the Women's Auxiliary, gave a 25-foot trailer full of clothes. In 2 weeks, we'll be getting another 25-foot trailer full of clothes. And it is open to the whole community. It don't matter who you are, you walk in. If you need something, you get it and you take it. And they have, and Moses Project again, we have gotten clothes. Some of them go out to my clients, my people that are disabled. They need work clothes. We find work clothes for them. I have 2 right now that are going to go to work and need clothes, so we've gotten that taken care of. But it's been a very busy, busy quarter, let me tell you, and it sounds to be more fun and excitement here lately.
That's great.
It's crazy. All I can tell you, Julie, is it's crazy right now until we get all the meals out. We have 269 meals between community and schools, Moses Project, DCFS, and the people at welfare that have given us names. Doesn't matter who you are. If you need a meal, you will get a turkey dinner. No strings attached, no questions asked. We go from Winnemucca to Battle Mountain we have Winnemucca, Battle Mountain, Carlin, Wells, a couple people from Jackpot that are going to come over and get meals.
That's wonderful. Anyone have any questions from record or TV?
I do have a question for Dee Dee. Have you seen a recent increase also in landlords eliminating their disabled renters from their apartments?
Yes, there's still a lot of that going on because people are coming in and buying the apartment complexes, and the first thing they do is dump all of the people on Section 8 out into the cold. And it's getting to be really epidemic. And I'm alarmed about that. I have been for the last 2 years that's been going on. And I keep going to the Board of Supervisors and telling them that we need to have some action to stop this from happening. But of course, we haven't seen a lot of action in that respect. But I'm hoping that the Board of Supervisors will eventually put something in so that when landlords buy a complex, that they are not able to just throw people out who are on Section 8. And I am extremely concerned about also landlords abusing the fact that they're stealing people's deposits. So, but I'm almost thinking that unless there's an uproar from the disabled community, that nothing's going to happen. And maybe that's what needs to happen. We need to all go to the Board of Supervisors at once and force their hand, because you cannot find anyone hardly in this community who will accept Section 8 any longer. And that was one of the things that I put into the when they did the gathering of information for Carson City and the homeless and poor. One of the things I put in is that I felt that people who were building apartment complexes and existing apartment complexes, they should allow 20% of their apartment complex to be utilized by the poor or by Section 8, and that in return, Carson City should give a break on property taxes. And I think that that is a reasonable thing to ask. I mean, after all, look at Tesla. And places like that who have gotten all those tax incentives. Why can't we do that for the disabled population? I'll shut up now.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, Margaret. is, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but is our legislator.
Yeah, Sutter.
Sutter.
I don't know if he's on or not. He's also been sick. Uh, so we got this weird virus going around, and I think we've all got it. So I don't know if Sutter's on or not. I did send him the link, and hopefully he was able to get on, but it doesn't look like it. Dawn, maybe you could send him invitation to the meeting so that maybe he can give his report tomorrow.
I certainly can.
Thanks so much.
God, I know you're here. Would you like to give your report?
So
I thought I saw John.
Yeah, he's here. Hey, John. Or is it a good time to provide your report?
Yes, it is. If I can find the button. John Roseland with Aging Disability Services. I oversee the Nevada Assistive Technology Collaborative, which includes our statewide independent living program. Sorry, I get my report up here. So I do have a verbal report, and it comes with a little bit of a disclaimer. Aging Disability Services went to a new data system for all programs, and the migration has been less than stellar. Our program can't currently access the system, and so I only have data through the end of August. All of that to say, I will get the full report for the SILC together as soon as we have all of that data to pull together. What I have is kind of a snapshot from the prior system and where we are at once we migrated that information. I just don't have the updates from August forward. So there'd be a little bit of a change in here, but I'll give you the highlights. And just for new people in the crowd, if I haven't went through it before, or if you haven't heard me, the Assistive Technology for Independent Living program has been in the state for, as near as I can tell, about 30 years, maybe a little bit over on some form or another. It was initiated through the Nevada SILC and later through the Assistive Technology Act program. And I don't know the exact dates. I was around about that time, but I don't know the exact dates. At some point, the program was successful in getting some state general fund dollars. And I want to say that was I know it was between 2003 and 2008. And that's about the time when I came to work for the state and overseeing the programs. Before that time, I was with the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living. And anyways, what happened was there were some advocacy efforts from the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living back at the legislature, and that kind of was the first foothold for state general funds. The big picture of the program is addressing essential daily living with assistive technology. Last resort program. These areas that don't get addressed by Medicare, Medicaid. Yeah, I get it. There's some stuff and some waivers that cover some home modifications, but way back then, and even now, they don't have any providers, so there really isn't a resource out there still, right? If you have an acquired disability or you're aging with the disability and you're no longer able to access your home or some things have changed, that's what these services kind of were for. And they're intended to be last resort, meaning it's not intended to modify your home so you can sell it and then move to another home and get it modified. There's those little pieces in there, relatively unchanged. back when the program was kind of becoming structural. I mean, that I say structural, there was the Office of Disability Services drafted the policy. The SILC was instrumental in creating the policy back in my early years. All changes to policy went through the SILC. We reviewed them, they were vetted and then approved, and that's when they made it into the policy. And those policies still exist. We just maintain them. There's been no significant change to that. Anyways, back to the program itself, primarily. Now the SILC has kind of, I think we used to get about 140,000. That's down to around 30. The lion's share of the funding is state general fund, with about $50,000 from the Assistive Technology Act programs. Linda, I see Linda's hand up. Maybe she has a question already.
Thanks, John. My question is I live in a affordable apartment. I'm sorry, if I end up leaving, but I live in an affordable apartment for age, 60 and up. I have a couple that I had advocated prior. They moved in here. I got them moved in here, and the woman needs a hand bar when she goes into the shower. I told them to call Aging and Disability to find out what they could help with. And the person told them, well, you need to get a letter from your doctor and then turn it in, to the office. Well, they did that. And then the office said, well, you'll have to call corporate. So basically they're getting the runaround. And then finally they got an answer saying, oh, corporate doesn't want any holes drilled into the wall because it's going to cause problems. And I don't know. I have a shower bar in my shower, and I have a shower bar in several areas in my home. It's the same kind of apartment. So I just want to know what on your end can be helpful for them and what they might need to be able to do.
Go ahead.
I just don't. I told them to call you, but I don't know how. I don't know what else to do for them other than they did call and they were told to get a doctor's note. The doctor's note specified for the lady because she loses her balance, and the corporate office is refusing to do that. And this is a place for the elderly to live. So, the aging to live. And it's an affordable building. There are two buildings here and they're affordable. So I don't know what else I can do to help them along. So I just need some suggestions, I guess.
And are they in Northern Nevada, Carson City, Reno?
Carson City.
Okay.
Carson City.
Well, to first, if I was the advocate, I would be getting a hold of fair housing. I would have the consumer get a hold of fair housing because requesting a reasonable accommodation comes under fair housing, and doesn't mean that they have to install the grab bar, by the way, but they can have fair housing says that you can request a reasonable accommodation. It sounds like they started down that, and then they can't deny it. Now they can require you, and I'm not the fair housing guru, so take everything that what I say with a big chunk of salt, but I'm pretty close to it. But
okay,
agreeing just the same. They cannot deny the person, but they could require them to put a deposit to restore the thing. I have in over 20 years, I've never had anybody flat out deny something.
Well, they've even offered to pay for the grab bar to have it installed, and even pay for the installment, but they have been told they cannot do that because it's going to damage the unit, which to me is an outright lie, because I have grab bars in my shower, and their unit is basically, all these units is the same.
And they can't deny them. They should get a hold of Silver State Fair Housing and go through that because I can make the argument it's going to ruin something, fix something. Like you said, you may have them in your apartment, and other people may have them as well. It's a bad argument. What I was meaning is, you may have corporate people saying that, but once they find out it's against the law to do that, and if they put it back to the local people, then problem solved. If there's a barrier for them obtaining that or having it done, like that's, then we could reach out to me. I'll leave my information in the chat before we go, but they can contact Care Chest and work with the independent living person there. And he can even point them to a contractor if they had the resources to be able to do it. And to kind of just bridge right over to what we would do in that situation, what would be, it's not just about we don't look at it from the aspect of, do you qualify and you're applying for a grab bar? Our process is no different than engaging with the Center for Independent Living anywhere. We have the same goals, same process, the same everything. The program was designed to be in centers for independent living back in the day. So really defining what the person's goal is. Like this person, we're talking about a bathing goal most likely, and fleshing that out and finding out what the goal is. Because if you apply somebody for a grab bar and you get the grab bar and the box is checked and the case is closed, right? You still got a grab bar, but you're still maybe not bathing. And I've seen this happen many times, right? You apply for these little widgets, I'll call them, grab bars, ramps, and those things. But if in the end you're still not able to accomplish those essential daily living things, and somebody's checked the box and called it a success, that's the hole that falls in. Now, I'll say maybe 75% of the times you get it right, but those 25 people that don't meet their goal is pretty significant, especially if there's a failure, right, that ends up in institutionalization. But Linda, let's connect maybe after the meeting, and we'll see if we can find some resources for those folks.
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, John.
You bet. So back to the caseload stuff on there. With Linda there, kind of was able to get into a little bit of what the purpose of the program is, still the same. Looking at those last, where there are a lot of resources or none do exist, and also defining people's independent living goals, not just applying for widgets. That's a dangerous place to go down, and our program has slipped into that over the years while I've been involved in it. You kind of get in this bad habit of this bad social services model habit of believing that everybody that calls or has a disability isn't able to maybe even do for themselves. And when that happens, you'll find that you get people applying somebody for something that maybe they have other options and abilities to obtain. I'll jump off course a little bit here. One time we had a monitor done, and we had a consumer that was really upset that nobody just told them that a portable folding ramp was like $250 of what they would have needed, and they waited 2.5 years to obtain one. Now I would say, well, you didn't research that. I'm a person with a disability. The first thing I'd do is try to figure that out myself. But people sometimes can't see the solutions when you're stuck. You're overwhelmed, and those things happen. And that's what happened to this person. But the independent living side forgot to even talk to this person to say, here's what your options are. I tell people all the time, go look on Craigslist. I mean, if you look on Craigslist and can't find a used ramp that's 6-7 foot long, start trying to find your own solutions. is kind of the philosophy within this program, right? It's not just applying somebody to do these things. Let the person know what their options are once you've defined that independent living goal. Now kind of back to the data thing. I do assure you that I'll come back and give a full report when I'll provide it to Dawn as well of everything that goes into the SILC's annual report. Because we do receive those funds, everything from the number of consumers, people carried over, all of the demographic information, and how many goals were preventive, how many goals were transition related, all the same stuff that we provide almost every year. But at this point, I've just got some fragments here, but I think they're good ones. So over the course of the year, October 1 of 24 until September 30th is when we'll report, but my data is lacking a month here. We serve 291 consumers. That's 291 independent living plans. I'm pretty sure we don't really have a lot of people that waive the plan portion where we build the steps for each of the goals. But give or take there's 291 consumers served. I don't have the breakdown of how many were carried over and how many were new. I just can break it down into how many of the closed cases and the ones that are currently still open or were as of the end of August. We had a total of 876 independent living goals. Again, our goals kind of range from self-care to home access, could be communication related or any transportation, mobility. In going into this new system, we will be breaking the transportation and mobility apart. In the federal independent living that lumps those two together, but I kind of wanted those two separated. We'll report them the same federally, but rather than having to go through every time there's one of those types of goals and trying to figure out what was going on there, whether it was personal mobility or transportation, we'll have that fixed. So back to that, 876 goals throughout that time. So that's what doesn't mean that that's how many were established during that year. That's how many are involved with those consumers. And some may have been close, some of these goals may have been met in years past because one of the oldest cases in this caseload was opened back in 2019. So they had an independent living goal that's been kind of going along all these years and finally was addressed. 73 of the goals throughout this caseload were prevention related and one was transition related. There's 176 closed cases, so that's closed independent living plans. I don't get too concerned about whether it's closed as goals met or withdrawn. I get that why it's in the reporting. We have 78% as goals met. The next is withdrawn, 14% withdrawn. The rest are small percentages, how many people moved, died, or closed as other. The important stuff to me is in the closed case data is how many goals were set and how many were met. There was 476 goals set within the closed caseload, and 79, almost 80% of those were met. 57 of the goals were withdrawn. That's about 12%, just under 12%. That pretty much wraps up the most of the caseload, which is pretty good. If somebody withdraws a goal with us, and there was solutions available, then the consumer made a decision to withdraw that goal, and it wasn't a limitation that exists. We do track that information if a solution wasn't available. And then in the open caseload, we had 400 goals set. So in that current open caseload, there's 400 open goals. I should say 400 open, 27% of those have already been met. The remainder are active. there's 60% of that caseload is still open and active. And then I'll kind of wrap up with the last piece of that is we did receive some of that ARPA funding that the state governments put into different things, and ours was to address the wait list. I think we've obligated and expended pretty much everything that was aligned with the independent living side of things. But there's a double-edged sword there. We didn't utilize all of our state general fund in the program. There's only so much that we can do with the vendors that we have. We were at, I would say, full capacity. We tried to bring on more building contractors, which is a challenge to get people involved and get things done. But all in all, I think it's been a success. We currently don't have a technical wait list. It will slowly come forward. We might make it through this year without having a waiting list, and that's for the end service. If we're the last resource and we're the ones that this program's the only resource to pay for, let's say the ramp or that end service to meet the goal, we have the resources currently for that. And I think we'll get through this year, and then we'll probably see that wait list just start slowly climbing back up. That's about all I've got. If there's any questions or anything, just give a shout. I'll shut up now.
I have a question. How many staff do you have working with us on this case?
I didn't get that, Julie. I'm sorry.
You said you have like 200 active cases. How many staff do you have working with them?
With the program? Okay.
Yeah.
There's currently four full-time staff. There's been some transition with Care Chest. There's one independent living specialist in the north, and there's typically 3 down south. Currently there's one experienced independent living specialist. There's a person that's overseeing that in the entire Care Chest, all of their services there that's helping out. And then there's 2 new staff that will be taking a greater role.
Amazing that you're doing so much with such really a very much staff.
I think staff is it is difficult to find staff, especially for this program. I'll tell you, I will say that even back when I started, which was 2003, you've got to be able to find people that are capable of understanding. Say capable. It is difficult. It's not, independent living isn't for everybody, because it's not a social services model program where you make decisions for people, and it's not always easy to try to empower people that don't want to be empowered. That's a kind of a challenging thing to say there, but there are people that don't, and so trying to find somebody that fits the mold is very difficult, and then also has some knowledge about assistive technology. So when there is a staff change, even, and Care Chest is no different than anybody, when people leave or go to different things, it's a hard thing to fill. I wish there was a magic wand that you could just train people on how to do these things and not get sucked into that social services model of applying people. if anybody's got a good training method of training for I'd say all these things that are kind of in this program, independent living and the assistive technology piece. If you've participated in one, I know that there was some that were done by oh my goodness. What's the technical assistance folks? Somebody help me out.
Yeah.
ILRU.
Yes, ILRU. They used to have some good stuff, and they were typically geared towards centers for independent living. But it's difficult to send people to those. I often wanted to. The last one I participated in was in Arizona many years ago, but it had those core pieces. I think we tried to do this through the SILC about 10 years ago, and really tried to bring somebody in from ILRU to do these types of trainings, and not just for centers for independent living, but everywhere. Because I think that when you have that ILRU presence and you have other centers talking about those pieces, right? That truly getting down to what the goal is and what the person's outcome that they want is, would is really where you start understanding more about independent living, and you get away from this idea that people don't have the right to fail, or not every consumer is going to agree with independent living. They just want their ramp, you know. And in that instance with our program, we still are going to go forward and help them, but it is difficult when the person doesn't want to participate as the consumer, right, in that model. So hopefully I answered your question, Julie. I may not have.
Yeah.
This is Dawn Lyons. I just like to add, that I think a lot of the time it's not even that they don't want to follow the independent living model as much as they just don't understand it. And to be able to have someone who can actually explain that to someone, because it even took me a while to wrap that idea around my head of what that really meant, So I get it. It's a challenge.
We do. I would say we do. We have people that want a spouse or a guard, somebody else to do all of to do the work. And so our process should be, and I say should be because I can't say that I've reviewed every case, but our process should be that when the consumer says, "Oh no, I want so and so to be my representative," that's fine. But I'm going to ask you every single time there's a decision that you confirm that person was right on that. So you kind of got to participate anyways, because nobody can develop an independent living goal for you, and you have any kind of input into it if you're going to give up your authority and let somebody else take control of it. I'm going to say firsthand, you let somebody else make some decisions with what type of wheelchair you're going to use, or where you're going to go and when you're going to get there, and it's not going to be what you expect. So I agree that people may not be used to making those decisions, and maybe there's a fear of failure. But sometimes there's laziness too, and you can be overwhelmed. And I say we should be able to identify when somebody's overwhelmed, and but still try to put them in a position of decision making. It's a challenge. I'm not saying it comes out perfect, but when somebody says, "No, I want my mom to take care of, she's going to make all the decisions," we try to be very clear that we still are going to have to talk to you to confirm that mom just said this is the way it's going to go. And then in the end, you can blame whoever you want, but we're going to make sure that you were part of that decision making as best we can. That's the theory. That's what it says in policy. How it sometimes shakes out with people is can be difficult, because the independent living specialist can get stuck between a rock and a hard place, where the consumer's mad at them because they keep asking them questions, and they're trying to do what, John's yelling in the background, you push the consumer to be involved. They're going to do the best they can, though. And then as far as that, Don, I'll work with you to get the rest of the information. I don't know when I'll have it. Like I said, we've been about 2 weeks. CareChest is not even able to access the system. So it could be about another 30, 45 days before we even have data updated in there. They're doing the best they can to keep cases moving forward. Might be a little bit, but it'll be before the first of the year.
Thanks, John. This is Dawn. I just wanted to say I'm not really sure we have to worry too much anyway. Something tells me we're going to get it the due date or deadline extended anyway.
Well, I did notice the instruments only was renewed in February of 25. So did that mean that did they do any instrument changes? If so, you might be looking at mid-year. Instrument meaning the reporting report, right? The changes to the report.
Well, and I know that they're currently on, not, well, I know that our SILC program officer has been furloughed during this time that the government's been shut down. So I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like for them when the government starts funding them again.
Well, I'll just plan on at the next SILC meeting, we'll just have the full and final report, and I should have all the data to you that fits into the report, but we'll make that available then to everybody in the next meeting.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, I'll click off. And if anything comes up later, let me know, and because I'll probably jump off of this meeting. But Linda, I'll leave my contact information in the chat too.
Thank you, sir. Now we're gonna take a 10-minute lunch break. I'll see everyone at 2:40. Welcome back, everyone. Next, we're gonna hear about an update about Nevada State Rehabilitation Council. Is that you, Don?
Yep. I am currently the representative of SILC on that council.
Please get us a record.
Thank you. I wanted to mention that I was unable to attend their subcommittee meeting for their state plan, and I was disappointed because it was during our last SILC meeting that it occurred, and that's why I couldn't make it. But so I'm not a part of that subcommittee this year. I will be talking to them to get updates about it though, just to check in with them and give them maybe public comment if I can in writing for the upcoming meetings, and I'll let you guys know how that's going. Their next meeting is scheduled just happens to be at the exact same time as a mandatory fiscal meeting with Aging and Disability Services that I have to be at. So I am probably going to miss a portion of that meeting as well. But unless I can get another SILC member to step in and just kind of be there to answer SILC questions if they have any, I can provide some written updates about SILC to them. And that way, maybe, you could, whoever is able to attend could help catch me up on what I missed. But I can talk to you guys outside of the meeting for that. Other than that, that's there's the bulk rehab is having their town halls. I sent out the information on that that Sheena gave to me or sent me through email. I forwarded that on to our members and our interested parties. And I wasn't able to make the one on Monday, but there is another one coming up on I have right here.
17th, Dawn.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just because I know about 4 of them around here that keep reminding me.
Yeah, on Monday the 17th at at 1 p.m., I think. Let me double check on that, but I put it at 2, but I think it's at 1.
It says 2.
It says 2? Okay. Okay, then it's at 2.
Reason it says okay.
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself.
I was like, wait, what's going on?
That should be a good opportunity for anyone. All of us should probably attend that and at least listen into what's happening, if not give, your information, your input and your thoughts to vocational rehabilitation. It's an important town hall to be there for. So hopefully I'll see
John,
you guys there.
this is Margaret Marcucci for the record. I have, I know everybody here that's Voc Rehab and have talked to them, and it's quite interesting. That's all I can say right now. I'm glad I'm not them.
Yeah, and that was really all I had so far with the rehab council activities.
Okay, great. Laurie, could you give your
Hi, good afternoon. Lori Lutu with Aging and Disability Services Division. So I just have a few things that I wanted to update on. A few staffing things that some of you may have heard about already, but just wanted to highlight. So Director Whitley with Department of Human Services is retiring, and our administrator, Ricky Raw, is going to be stepping in as interim director while they continue to look for his permanent replacement. So that's one change within our division. And then the other is that Jessica Adams, who has been overseeing our developmental services, will be acting as interim administrator while Ricky is serving as interim director for DHS. So a little bit of change there. And then one other staffing change is, I'm sure you all know, and I think at the last meeting I highlighted it, but Cheyenne Pasquale had moved into our agency manager position, and so that left her planning chief position open, and that has been filled. And so our new planning chief is scheduled as of right now to start November 24th. And so I can't give a lot more information yet at this time. At the next meeting, I can give another formal update, but we are excited to have that position filled and bringing on that new team member. Just wanted to share about a couple of projects or initiatives within ADSD. And so the first is a personal care attendant workforce project that one of the regional coordinators, Anna Blattman, has been spearheading for the division. And what that is they're looking to strengthen the direct care workforce that supports older adults and individuals with disabilities across the state. So some of the components of that are streamlining PCA training that would align with national standards and federal and state regulations. They're looking to develop a PCA registry that would help connect individuals with PCAs and also assist providers with hiring. They're looking to offer provider incentives and student scholarships and create career pathways into the PCA profession, and then also from the PCA profession into other healthcare related fields. So the key priority in this effort is ensuring that they are hearing the voices of those who are directly impacted. So constituents, family members, advocates, PCA, and providers as they're looking to shape the project. So they're looking for any insight from people who have worked as a PCA, if you yourself are a PCA, if you're an agency, or if you're just simply interested in contributing to the important conversation that's surrounding the need in this industry. We would love to hear from you, and I can drop Autumn's information into the chat. There's also a survey if somebody would prefer to provide some feedback that way. And Autumn can go ahead and send that out if you reach out to her if you would like to provide feedback in that format as well. And then the last initiative that I wanted to share with this group is it's called the Multi-Sector Plan on Aging. And so ADSD is working to build support for a multi-sector plan on aging. And what it would do is serve as a living document that's designed to break down silos across different agencies, state, local, and county, nonprofits, private businesses, and existing state initiatives, and looking to foster some collaboration, working together to create communities that support aging well for older adults, individuals with disabilities, and also just other Nevadans across the state. So the integration, the plan would promote coordinated solutions, reduce duplication of resources, and leverage existing strategies. So the ultimate goal is to improve health outcomes and strengthen the systems that serve our communities. So right now, again, we're just looking to build some support for a multi-sector plan on aging. One of our other regional coordinators, Cecilia, she is looking at this and kind of leading that initiative within the division. And so again, I can also include her information in the chat if anyone is interested in learning more or seeing how they might be able to be involved. So any questions on these items or anything else?
This is Dee Dee Formaster for the record. I'd be really interested in learning a little bit more about that.
Sorry, Lori Lutu for the record. Dee Dee, are you talking about the multi-sector plan on aging?
Yeah.
Or the PCA workforce project?
The PCA workforce project, because believe it or not, a lot of people who end up on the streets are past caregivers whose families have come in after they have passed away and they just get thrown on the streets. So I'm really interested in that. And maybe can send some folks your direction.
Wonderful. Lori Lutu for the record. Dee Dee, I'm going to put Autumn's information in the chat, but I can also send an email directly between you and Autumn to connect you as well, if that would be helpful.
This is Margaret Marcucci. By the way, guess what I used to do? I used to be a PCA. I still have some respite care people that I communicate with off and on. So send me the information and I have about 15 people I can give it to and see if we can get you the answer. This is, in the Elko Battle Mountain area, dear.
Sorry, Lori Lutu for the record. I will go ahead and get you all connected with Autumn. And I also dropped her email address in the chat, though. But I will definitely make sure I connect you to directly with her as well.
Thank you very much, Lori, for your time.
Any other questions?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one should be interesting. So I'd love to hear the April conference or any other conferences that were attended. What's to start?
Well, I can start. This is Dawn Lyons. The April conference was just a couple weeks ago, and it was in Portland, Oregon. And that's, for those of you who don't know what that acronym means, because we always say April is in October. April stands for the Association of Rural Programs for Independent Living. And that organization, where we happen to be organizational members of that organization, they've been the responsible ones for my emails that I've forwarded to all of you guys about updates regarding, their stance in regards to the federal shutdown and, programs being challenged that for funding issues like Medicaid and things like that, that they've had taken strong stances on and expressed that to us and given us ideas about how we can reach out. So anyway, their conference was interesting to say the least, because they had provided certain segments of their conference for the federal agency that, ACL, to provide updates, and ACL of course wasn't even able to attend. So it was kind of interesting to see how they creatively filled those time slots with I guess more like a more, it was more like a town hall question and answer panel kind of thing where the, April board sat and asked everybody what their questions were and tried to address them the best they could. And so it was, they helped to reassure us that they're going to continue doing what they're doing, and that, they've been putting a lot of effort into keeping up with things as they're happening, because the changes are happening so fast. So they'll continue to provide us with updates. As you heard earlier, the Youth Action Council, three of the members presented a presentation. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that attendance because I had to leave the conference slightly early that day, and they happened to be scheduled at the last slot of the day. So I wasn't able to see their presentation, but I was able to see Calvin's separate presentation, or Calvin's separate presentation. And I can just say that I am so proud of those youth. They're definitely motivated and definitely have a lot of ambition and a lot of interest in self-advocacy. And it was really heartening to see how involved they have been and how much they just want to jump in and running with all these ideas. So, really happy to see that. And I also was, it was a good networking opportunity as usual. I was able to talk to Brooke from Oregon, and really, we picked each other's brains, in fact, about the status of SILCs and 501c3s and what that looks like, and the process that I went through in that, making those that happened for us, and what challenges that I encountered and all that. And it's always one of those things that's so important. And I just have to reiterate again that I asked Dee Dee, she's gone to these conferences before, and she knows too, they're just so valuable in regards to the networking opportunities within our community. And, when we have questions, or when we run into, things that we're not sure about, like, is our state doing it the same way as other states? And if they aren't, why not? Those kinds of things. It's a really great opportunity to talk to everyone else and get ideas about what we could be doing. So, yeah, that's my recap. Always learned a lot.
Does anyone else want to talk about April or any of the conference?
This is Dee Dee, Formaster, for the record. I attended April. I learned a lot. I attended a conference on Social Security, which was extremely interesting because things are starting to change in that area. Now you can actually work while you're waiting for benefits. Not full time, but part-time so that you can survive while you're waiting. And the waiting period's getting worse and worse. Also, I met a wonderful person who I ended up getting up with him and helping with a lot of us to field a lot of the Social Security questions because I've been doing it for over 25 years. So, also, I did attend the YAC presentations that the youth did. They were extremely informative. They did a great job at presenting the information, and it's just so nice to get some of that youth energy into the conferences, and it's absolutely vital for the next generation that's coming up. I did lots and lots of networking. I enjoyed everybody I met and worked with, and tossed out a lot of housing information, and they gave me a lot of transportation and housing information also. I think what's important about conferences is the burnout rate in our business is extremely high. And so it's important to get out and get in contact with other people, to realize that there's other people out there who can provide support and knowledge to you if you have any questions. And networking is a very vital part of the CIL, because Centers for Independent Living, we forget often, are all over the nation. And it's wonderful to hear about the things they're doing also. Thanks so much.
Well, are there any upcoming conferences?
So as this is Dawn Lyons. There is an upcoming Silk Congress in March. We haven't, heard of any solid plans yet, but we know that as long as the federal funding eventually comes through, that there will be. And so that may be something that everyone wants to start thinking about now, because I would say that Silk Congress for our statewide Independent Living Council members is probably one of the most beneficial conferences for our members to go to and to attend. And I guess I'll find out more about where that's going to be located later and let you know, but as soon as they do, I'm sure they'll let us know. I have the next topic if no one else has anything else to say about conferences.
Okay, great.
Okay, so updates regarding the details of the Department of Education's Disability Innovation Fund, or Pathways to Partnership Innovative Model Demonstration Product, otherwise known as the TRIP program, Nevada TRIP. Where we've been in the process of renewing our sub-awards from the Department of Education, all the partners, just tying up all the little details involved with that, and awaiting the sub-award, which I'm guessing will not receive until the federal government approves some kind of continuing resolution or budget so that we can get that funding through. But anyway, while we are in limbo, that's basically what we've been working on, and trying to keep up with the data and the numbers and the important aspects of providing that information to the trip program so they can include what the SILC's team has been doing to maintain our goals in that regard, as far as meeting people where they're at. Doing that outreach at April conference was a huge part of that, to help make sure that we're making those connections where they're needed, and that those, especially individuals and rural being a big part of it, maybe not even having access to get that information digitally sometimes, or have the availability of communication medias, like different ways of getting information that you would normally get inner city or somewhere where that's a little bit more populated, and you could hear from people in your community better. So yeah, there's a lot of barriers when it comes to being in rural areas in that regard. So we've been trying to set up an appointments with the latest group of counties that are included, because as you might know, the TRIP program is being implemented in segments of the population of Nevada in regards to what counties are included at each year. Three of the counties, I think it was Carson, Winnemucca, or wait, Carson, I don't remember. I'm so bad with remembering things like that. Anyway, the three main counties that were included in the first 2 years of the TRIP program was the pilot program, to see, if there was a lot, what we could learn out of how we started that. And they were rural counties. We're not starting with the big ones. I think Jennifer Kane probably explained that to us in the past too. I'm just reiterating that because we want to make sure that as we're learning, we can apply best practices moving forward. So it's been going well. We've been giving them a lot of our feedback, and trying to get as much as we can from everybody who's been involved in the Nevada Trip program, to pick each other's brains and make sure that we're doing as much as we can to make it a success. So it's a real honor to be a part of this project. And I just want to mention that I'm just really excited for where we're headed with it.
Any questions for Dawn? Thank you, Dawn. The next item of the agenda is kind of a mute point because the feds aren't doing anything. But does anyone have any concerns of these stresses they want to talk about?
This is Dawn Lyons. I just wanted to mention that, as you know, during the federal shutdown, the SILC is not receiving our federal funding as well. And that's, more than 90% of how we function. So if we don't receive funding soon, or probably by the end of the calendar year, we may have to pause for a while until we can receive our federal funding again. But of course, I'll let you know if we have to cancel our January meeting or not later, once I have a clearer picture of that. But I wanted to just remind everybody that there's the possibility that that could happen.
Yeah. Right. Do we have time to do the next item?
I think so. We
Let's end on a happy note.
all right. That sounds good to me, Julie. This is
We have wonderful news. We are now a recognized 501c3, and I'd like to give Dwayne a virtual round of applause for all her efforts to get this done. Yes! So now the work begins. Dawn, would you like to talk a little bit about what this means for us?
Yeah, so this is Dawn Lyons. Thank you. It was a little bit challenging, I have to say. The IRS has been downsized in recent past, and so there's not a whole lot of staff working. I believe one person is processing those applications at this time. And she kind of made that clear to me when she did finally reach out with a bunch of questions. So, there was a time I was just kind of crossing my fingers, not really sure if we were gonna be able to pass her scrutiny, but we received our letter and it was backdated from the time that we actually incorporated with our state. So that was kind of happy news, but also a little bit challenging because, of course, we had back taxes due that were overdue and we didn't have any chance to request an extension. But we'll see how that goes because I filed, and if they come back and say we owe for back taxes, even though we shouldn't have any taxes at all for that period of time. What I guess I mean to say instead is that if they come back and said there's fines for filing late, I can send them a copy of their letter to show them when I received the letter and when they backdated us till, and hopefully that will resolve any issues with that. We'll just see. But yeah, the options that we're looking at now, I do have some more questions for other silks who are 501c3s and for our ILNet right now, who is basically our new ILRU or our technical assistance, program that was approved by ACL for this upcoming year. I haven't reached out to them yet because I think the Silk should probably have a little bit of conversation about what we're interested in, what direction we're interested in taking our nonprofit status in. And then I can go ahead and get clarification on our federal guidelines and how that interacts with that process. And if, what's possible, what's not possible, that kind of thing in regards to, what how we're allowed to do resource development and things like that, because it is a little bit tricky when we have separate federal regulations, and so we're not a typical 501c3, right? So we still have to follow our guidelines, but for the most part I think we have a lot of opportunity at this point. One of them being that we can now apply for outside grants that may be to educate the public, like similar to that the partnership we have with the Department of Education in the trip program, right? Or community events, things like that may be something that we can participate in, as long as it's not providing services, because it does state specifically in our federal guidelines that the SILC cannot provide services. So unless it's with our own funding and our own time. So that is something that we could look at down the line in the future if we're able to resource develop according to that, or with that kind of goal in mind. But other than that, like there's just specific things that we may want to do, and I'm always here to be that person to look into that with the federal partners that can give us those answers. And the other thing I was looking at was, I know there's a lot of silks out there who they contract with their states for their federal funding. So the DSE who receives that funding and they're responsible for reporting to the feds on it. I know there's a lot of nonprofit silks that actually, receive a good portion or all of that funding from the state as long as their contract is spelled out in such a way that both parties are satisfied with that arrangement. There's also states that where instead of a contract, it becomes a subaward, similar to how the CILs, like Mary, like you guys receive subawards with our money, but it's what we decide to, as a silk, what we decide to do with it, but the state actually, does the background work on that, and they are the ones who have the rules about it, and they're the ones who you send your request for reimbursement to and that kind of stuff. And so it would work similarly like that with a subaward. So there's different types of things. I know Cheyenne has expressed to me that it would likely be a subaward in our case. Every state has different policies, every DSE has different policies, so we kind of have to go with what our DSE policy is. But that was another subject too, is that we hadn't talked about our relationship or with our current DSE, and that was something that was on our state plan for independent living as a goal, that we really need to evaluate our relationship and what that looks like and how we'd like to move forward, whether or not we'd like to entertain the idea of if there's a more appropriate designated state entity for us, or if aging and disability services still meets the needs of people with disabilities as our DSE. And so that's something that we have a topic on our agenda. Probably we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's a big agenda item, but going over our spill goals, and that's probably the best opportunity to really talk about that. So I would really appreciate all of you really considering taking time and thinking about that topic in particular, so that we could have some movement in that regard, as far as, because we really have that's a big part of, how are we going to decide to move forward as a nonprofit, is who our DSE looks like, right? So that who we are going to work with and what their rules are. So that's something that, I'd appreciate you guys giving me your input on tomorrow when we talk about that in that agenda item. But yeah, I mean, I do think it's a really good news. It's of course now, however we're able to, when we can go through our own expenses for things, like if once our contract is up with our website provider or maintenance provider, for instance, we may be able to get some kind of a discount now that we're a nonprofit. There's a lot of things like that, little perks that come with it. So I don't want to be the one to say here's what we should do, right? Because that's not my job. That's like what I want to say is, here are our opportunities, here are the ideas that I have, what do you guys think? And I really hoping that you guys will be the major decision makers in how we're moving forward and what we're going to do that, how we're going to do that. I definitely don't, I definitely want you guys to take ownership of that. So I appreciate it.
Really, like 5%. And we'll talk more tomorrow. Any questions?
This is Dee Dee Formaster for the record. I just want to say that I am so proud of Dawn.
Yes.
And I am so proud of this board that we are moving forward. I have screamed, yelled, jumped up and down, and done other various things to try and get this to happen, because I really feel that this is a new page in the silk movement that will allow us to move forward in a direction that this council wants to move. And I think with the 501c3, that will allow us to move in the directions we want to move in and do the things that we truly want to do. So congratulations, Dawn. Congratulations to this council. And on to the new page of writing a new history for Nevada SILC.
Here, here. Any other comments or questions? Linda?
I think Linda's just clapping.
Sorry. Okay. If there's no more questions.
Well, I do have one more thing to add. Sorry, Julie. This is Dawn.
Okay.
Just another tidbit here is that, you know, obviously we have to wait a little bit until we figure out what our budget looks like. We got information from the state about what was not approved at legislature and how we need to move forward with that. But as far as everything that we're getting from the federal government, that's a little unclear as of yet. And rather than amending our spill twice, I would really like to make sure we know what the federal government is telling us we are going to be doing first before we start amending our spill, our state plan. Our state plan for independent living already does need to be amended though, because of the denial of our state legislature for our requests for positions. And so that's a major change in our budget. And so it's going to have to be a whole amendment. So we're going to have to do that anyway. It's a really good opportunity now. It's timely that we got our 501c3 status, that we can really implement that into our next state plan for independent living amendment as well. So just wanted to mention that.
Any other comments? Would you read the preamble?
I sure will.
Thank you.
No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707-401. Comments will be allowed at the beginning and end of each day and will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
Mary has her hand up.
Sorry, I didn't see. Very.
Oh, thank you. Really briefly, I just wanted to add, and I meant to mention it earlier, just for the record, this is Mary Evilsizer. We've been monitoring food insecurities in regards to the federal shutdown. What we've noticed here in Clark County, we're not getting a lot of calls regarding food insecurities. We are pulling together, we're contacting food banks and then verifying that they are open. And then we are placing them in zip code order for consumers. Again, transportation to pick up food supplies can sometimes be a problem. But we've also noticed that social media is taking an important lead in food insecurities. We're monitoring like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we're getting a lot of good information. And then what we do is we verify it before giving it out or before posting it on our website. But just wanted to let you know that we recognize the situation. We are trying to do something about it, and we'll just take it from there and see what happens and hope for a more stability in our federal assistance programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. I'm gonna adjourn this meeting until tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.